Well, welcome everybody. I'm really excited for the conversation we get to have for the New Earth University After Hours. I am grateful to all of you for taking the time to go through the app and look around and find this video. There's going to be a lot more content like this. You've also maybe seen some of the harvest content we've already been doing. So for those of you that are new, congratulations, you found us. And for those that have been following along, great to have you. And please feel free, tell a friend, tell your team. Great stuff is going to be continuing on this app. And we are having a conversation, sort of New Earth University After Hours. I'm really excited about this conversation because we are talking with some heavyweights, some really important people to the New Earth cause. So I'm going to kind of go around the horn and introduce everybody. We've got Barbara Swanson. Barbara Swanson is a practitioner. She has been helping people with product choices and a lot of different things along those lines, not just personally, but also via a written media. She is an author of Beyond Foods. It's great to have her. She's a great partner for the company. Stuart Martin, a practitioner as well, a doctor of chiropractic. And he is very well aware of, some of the things that your body needs to do to communicate with itself. And he's elected New Earth Products to bring people on that journey. And Danya Alalawi. Danya, good to have you. She has been an absolute, she's a TV star. She writes what are probably books or booklets on a weekly basis and sends them out to quite a few people, making product and lifestyle recommendations, all based on foundational foods. And of course, Jerry Anderson, our president, he is responsible for making sure that New Earth products are in fact best in class, top drawer, better than anything you find out there. He's the reason we can make those kinds of claims, and making sure that everything runs on time and is a company that you can be proud of is Bilal Ruknuddin, our CEO. And it's pretty cool because he actually represents more than just himself. He's representing his family and their commitment to this business. So I am Kevin Larson, Vice President here at New Earth, and I'm just grateful to be here among some really influential people. So I actually wanted to start the conversation here. Bilal, I'm going to go to you first. You're the tip of the spear. You're the top. So I mentioned that the foundation of who New Earth is really important to you and your family. And I'm certain that we're going to have a conversation about products and some of the lengths that we go to make great products. Not a lot of companies are willing to spend the time, the capital, and just the absolute rigors of getting not only ultra qualified ingredients, but numbers of certifications, etc. Why have you chosen as the CEO to invest that much where, by industry standards, you might not have to?
Definitely. Well, thank you. And thank you once again for everyone joining this special after hours session. First of all, I just want to give a shout out. The NEU was amazing and it was excellent. So definitely appreciate everybody's efforts and times, and especially our co-panelists here for their energy and their time and their commitment to continuing this cause. I think you hit the nail on the head in the sense that I don't think it's just from me. I think it's just the right thing to do, in the sense that we have a community of such educated and influential people, like the people that you see around you today on this panel. And it's important that we are able to answer to them as well as ourselves. We answer to the higher authority of consumers that actually are educated and they are empowered and they know what they put in their body and how it affects themselves and what they want out of nourishment in their body. And so I think quality is an essence because we're here for the long term. We don't want to take any shortcuts, and shortcuts are usually done when you're thinking for looking at the short term. you've heard me say this many times before. This is a legacy business for my family and I. And part of that being a legacy business is we have to think the long term. And part of staying long term is being authentic to ourselves, being authentic to our own family and our community, our home team, but most importantly, authentic to our consumers, our stakeholders, which are represented by like the likes of Barbara Swanson and Danya Alawi and Stuart Martin and so many more that are advocating and that are representing our brand. And we can't let them down, nor can we let ourselves down. So the essence of quality is driven by it's right. It's the right thing to do. It's something that I look for myself when I'm consuming products, or what I want my children to take when the products that they're consuming. But it's also because we're held through a community of wellness entrepreneurs that really expect more. And we want to be that authentic company, that transparent company that delivers more, because we're stewards of an amazing Earth's first food-based product. I mean, that's the only way that we can be. It's right. Kind of, if you look at who we are as a company and why we exist, in essence, it's because of the AFA, because the AFA stands for so many things, we have to be an extension of that as well. And that's, I think, why the investment is there. And I don't really think of it as just as an investment, but it's, as I said, it's a long-term thinking. We want people who consume our products who are willing to take food to help nourish themselves on a cellular level using Earth's first foods to actually have benefit, over time. And we want this to be a generational type benefit. It's not just for me and my children, but hopefully we're around for our grandchildren and great-grandchildren and have that same sort of philosophy and attitude of excellence and quality.
Yeah, and Jerry, it's an interesting barrier that he describes, right? Because not a lot of people, when they're producing product, think this way. But as really the oversight of all of our manufacturing, you really do know that you have an audience, many of which are here on this call with us, and so many others, right? That we have to please them first. So things like an efficacious dose, like Bilal mentioned, are imperative, because they will look these things up. How does that play into sort of the on-the-ground manufacturing process for you?
Right. Yeah, Kevin. And I tell you, I'm very happy to be working with Bilal and his family, because I have a similar thinking process that they do on product quality. I want the product quality to be first rate, to be efficacious, as you mentioned. And so it is a big job, and it is quite an investment. And, I'm sort of in the thick of it here with that. We have a really fantastic quality team of right now 4 individuals, all with degrees and very excellent in their work habits. And so, each one of these, we have product certifications, and we have, of course, our NSF certification on the facilities themselves. And that is to the FDA GMP standards. And so it's an amazing process, a very lengthy, thorough process where no stone goes unturned. It's everything you can think about the whole manufacturing process, all the way from supply to the release of the product and into the fulfillment center. All of it's covered.
Wow, that's intriguing, and I love that sort of really high value and top drawer mentality goes into the construction of every one of our products. So as practitioners, open question, does that feel true to you? Does New Earth meet that level of quality need that you as a practitioner demand for your clients, for your customers, for your partners?
I'm going to speak to this real quick, because I don't have to let it feel. I've been there. I've seen the facility more than once. And it's not a matter of, do I believe Jerry? I've seen the quality and the care. You can literally eat off the floor of an algae processing plant. And I want people to really think about that.
No one does, just for clarity.
No, but
does.
I mean, it's that clean. It's phenomenal. So
I think, Barbara, I think I want to try that next time I'm in Klamath Falls.
Stuart,
I'm sure they'd love to have us eating off their floor.
There's a reason we wear smocks past that line. There will be no eating off the floor.
But so it's not even a matter of belief. The company is an open book. I mean, if you go visit the facility and get a tour, you will see exactly what Jerry's talking about.
And on that note, Barbara, not to interrupt you, but I would welcome an open invitation. We definitely, of course, with the pandemic, there's some extra precaution and protocols that need to be taken for the benefit of all. But generally speaking, we're open for tours all the time. We actually gave one, Jerry, not too long ago.
Yeah.
When some associates were driving through the area and came through, and they said, "Can we stop over?" And as long as there's availability and time, we welcome that. We actually enjoy that. So
yeah, we love to have you visit
your train of thought
anytime.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a really impressive. And I also want to ask a question of Jerry, because this actually just came up literally not even 5 minutes before this meeting where we're talking right now. And somebody had emailed me and said, well, this is a company with spirulina. It's certified organic. It's raw. So surely that's as good as ours. And so, Jerry, is an organic cert everything? Does it test everything out there we need tested? I think that's an important thing to know.
It is. It's interesting that the organic certification on the products, we're not required to test anything on those.
Wow.
That's more of a, what are we inputting into the product formulas that we're using, some synthetic ingredient, or we're using natural organic ingredients kind of thing. And our harvest area, which is, of course, Klamath Lake for us. And, is it clean and pure? And we do some testing on that for sure, of course. And we monitor the watershed going into Klamath Lake and those sorts of things. But the actual testing on the products, that's more on the side of the NSF registration to the GMP FDA standards. And that's where we test for everything under the sun, pesticides, heavy metals, microbial contamination, natural toxins, and of course active ingredients too, like in the wild microalgae, phycocyanin and chlorophyll and PEA and those sorts of things. So it's more into that realm than actually in the organic certification realm.
That's fascinating.
I think a lot of people assume an organic cert means, the product's completely safe. There's no heavy metals. There's no microbial contamination. And that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jerry should continue answering. But what I wanted to add to that, you're right, Barbara. The organic certifiers, their main objective. So every certifier, everything has an objective, right? So the main objective of the organic certifier is to make sure that the product that's being used and the process that's being used is organic or natural. It's not a synthetic. It's not a lab induced or manufactured. It's not a unnatural, quote unquote, process. And then the watershed or wherever you harvest, if, for example, if we were a farm, to make sure that the environment that's growing the crops or rearing the animals or whatever they're certifying are also free of those contamination from a unnatural substance, right? So that's their main goal, to make sure that this is clean in the sense that it's natural and it's naturally occurring. That's really all they really focus on. So, for example, as you mentioned, there are a lot of heavy metals. Those are organic too, and they're natural. But our bodies, cannot. There's a certain level that it's not safe for human consumption of those. And so the organic certification, it doesn't worry about those type of things. So that's why you have multiple, like everything kind of, it's kind of like not the more certificates. Every certifier has their focus of what they're trying to, which boxes they're trying to check. And then the comprehensive nature of the certifications is what gives you all the different pieces. And the FDA regulations are the ones that are, their main primary concern is that this product is safe. That's their main primary concern. And secondly, they want to make sure that the manufacturers are claiming the product to be what's in the product to be on the label, and vice versa. Nothing more, nothing less. So whatever we put on a label, whether it's claims or whether it's active ingredients or anything, those are the things that need to be checked multiple times from an NSF GMP standards perspective. Jerry, I don't know. I don't want to take the
Yeah,
thunder,
no,
but in general, is that a...
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Bilal. I would just add that, we're right in the middle, as Bilal said, filling out our renewal application for ProCert, our certifier for organic. And it's literally a stack of pages about 2 to 3 inches thick. And not once in there does it ask for anything about testing. It's all about the entire process from start to finish. What do we do with it? Are we adding anything unnatural to it? Are we keeping it clean? Those sorts of things. So it's an interesting process.
What a scary thought. And to those that are watching this and thinking, oh, well, this product has organic on it, so that means good, right? And so much is done in marketing to convey that, right? There's, a green leaf, and it says, totally organic. And so, they can convince you that all is well, when in fact, all may not be well. I would ask, maybe Stuart and Danya, how do you get a customer trained to see past the marketing glasses that they wear? Because a lot of people probably wind up talking to you and seeing you and having conversation with you, having no idea, maybe even thinking that they were eating well.
Yeah, I experience that question quite often. And I see people using our products, getting good results, positive results. And then, a few months later, they're not in the system. They went to the health food store and saw similar products. And so when I connect with them at that point, I want to stress to them, or I always educate. So it's not at that point only, but on an ongoing basis. I'm always sending newsletters, educating all the consumers, the difference between the New Earth products quality and what they can find commercially produced in health food stores. Let's take the algae, for example. The chlorophyll content of this food is of the highest importance to keep the body healthy. Not a lot of people think of chlorophyll, but the processing, the manufacturing of the AFA in New Earth preserve the content of the chlorophyll. The same with the enzymes. So when you're eating this food, or when you're taking it as powder or capsules, you literally are benefiting from the way nature has created chlorophyll in that food, because it's not heated beyond the level where enzymes are lost. So when the enzymes are kept in that food, the chlorophyll content is at its highest level, just the way nature has made it. So people can benefit from all the nutrients along with the enzymatic reaction to that food. So they get the results they're looking for. And I just had a consumer that came back and talked to me again and said, I've tried other stuff similar to what New Earth offers, and I didn't get the benefits. So they're back in the system using our algae, our enzymes, our probiotics, because all of them are processed and manufactured in a way to preserve the quality and the enzymatic reaction in these foods.
You're so right, Danya, because you mentioned probiotics and enzymes, and they're very susceptible to loss during processing. And if you don't know what you're doing, and if you're not doing your testing, you can have a product on the shelf, like you say, that says there's 10 billion probiotics in here, and there may not be any. So, I agree with you 100% on that point. I'm glad you understand that, and it's all about education.
What a nerve-wracking thought for the customer, right? And it reminds me actually of an article. This would have been in, I think it was 2016, in the health section of the New York Times. There was an issue where supplement manufacturers, some of you may recall this, supplement manufacturers had been caught breaking some serious breach of trust, right? Basically, in California and in other states, you can grab something just off the shelf and have it assayed. And that is to determine specifically what really is in the bottle. right? And they did that with things like echinacea and others. And upon discovering what it really was, there was no echinacea in it. It was rice powder and ground up houseplants. And this is small little companies you probably never heard of, like Target and Walmart and Walgreens and, mom and pops. So don't worry, you're safe. And it's interesting because, what was the net result of that? There was a number of attorneys general from multiple states. I believe it was at the end, it was somewhere around 20 states that threatened lawsuits. And, everybody wound up paying a fine and nobody had to, admit any sort of guilt. What should have been a grand warning to the consumer just became another, byline and sort of scuttled away. And I'm sure, Stuart, that maybe you see this with some of your customers and your clients as well. It's not necessarily, their fault. It's just not their come from. They don't know what they don't know because they've got other things going on in their life.
Right. And I was reminded today about sometimes what can be a conflict of interest in the supplement industry, for instance, in that I happened to notice when I was, I'm a chiropractor and I have to once a week submit to a COVID test because of the pandemic. And so I show up at an urgent care facility in Studio City and get my COVID test. And I happened to notice their patient education program streaming on the flat screen. And they were actually selling supplements that are sold in the pharmacies and sold in the grocery stores. And one thing I love about New Earth, for instance, is that we don't have to think from the perspective of a conflict of interest. And I think it's unfortunate. It really is something I have to deal with it quite often. And sometimes I find it disgusting. Like, it's really difficult for me to be with how cynical some of my patients and practice members can be when it comes to recommendations I might make. It's almost as if there's a buyer beware pair of goggles they're wearing that I have to work around or get them to finally take off in some cases to get them to explore the products. And it really is one of the things I love about New Earth. And I would have to say love about being a chiropractor, that I never recommend anything for my patients and practice members that I'm not taking myself. And that makes my life simpler. And, I will have patients and practice members that come to my practice and they'll be 100% compliant. They love the products. They take them. They order them every month. And that's probably 20%, I hope, at the end of the day, that do that. Some people, I'll make the recommendations and I can only get them to take one product. Well, that's progress. At least they're taking one product, Other people that will take two. What's curious, and this piggybacks on what Jerry said earlier about the certifications on our products. And it has to do a little bit with, sometimes you hear about product certifications, and at the end of the day, it's like, wow, that's a lot of data. What do I do with all that data about all these certifications? And I had this experience one time with some patients I had been adjusting for years and sharing the algae until I was blue-green in the face. Huh? There's a good one for you, right? And they would never order the algae, right? And one evening, the father, husband of this family, was in the office, and he was looking at one of the bottles, and he noticed the NSF certification, and he ordered the product right then and there. Come to find out, didn't matter how much I said about nutrition, about how good this was for you, about how much it had helped me with my energy levels, with being able to get done what I needed to get done every day because I had the energy for it. That didn't make a difference to him in his particular line of work, which was in getting computer software systems to communicate with each other. At one point in his career, he had worked in a pharmaceutical factory, and he knew firsthand what it took to guarantee NSF certification. When he saw that, he ordered the product. And
wow.
So you just, and now both he and his wife have preferred customer accounts. Their children are getting a little bit of algae every day. And that's something that what made the difference I didn't see coming was that NSF certification.
Wow, that's really cool. And it says a lot about a product that will make
and you
that
just
reach.
Never know. You don't know what, unless you get to know the person better and better, you don't always know what it is that's going to be that one bit of information that makes the difference,
Right. Now, you mentioned a lot, one of our key ingredients right there. So I want to talk about that for a second, because I know that this is a significant component of all of your practices. And that is, our rock star ingredient, aphanizomenon flossacryl, right? Just sort of off the cuff, how important is that to what you do as an ingredient?
Well, look, we talk in the world of chiropractic, and I like to extend it to all healthcare, whether they like it or not, that we talk about innate intelligence, meaning there's an intelligence inside the body that controls and directs every function of that body. And that force flows over the nerve system. And what I like to point out, though, is that, and I'll say this very often to patients and practice members, is that chiropractic adjustments don't heal. Drugs don't heal. Surgeries don't heal. The body heals itself. And every health practitioner, whether they're a medical doctor, a chiropractor, acupuncturist, whatever discipline they're working within, they're counting on that innate capacity of the body to heal itself. And I know that if I'm providing the micronutrition available, for instance, in our body, that the gaps that occur in all of the macronutrient choices, even if they're 100% organic, there are things that are not replaced in the soil. And our algae, be it the panoply of minerals, of micronutrients in the form of especially B vitamins, of naturally occurring pigments, RNA, DNA, things that in many cases we don't even have a US RDA amount that we're supposed to be taking. But we know that when those things are in the soil is more full, more abundant, can produce better output. And I know that the soil of a healthy body, meaning healthy cells, contributing to healthy tissues, that nerve system is going to be able to get its job done far better if the soil that is serving those organs, and by that I mean the beautiful nutrients that are in the body, algae, will be profoundly beneficial. Now, lest I forget, I got to say about mind, because of course, as a chiropractor, we 100% are committed to a healthy functioning nerve system. Well, a nerve system's not going to function well if it doesn't have really high quality neurotransmitters. And it just so happens that the short chain amino acid structures in our algae, and particularly are accessible in our mind product, are much easier for the body to turn into the neurotransmitters that our nerve systems need. So I think our algae is the ultimate chiropractic food.
Excellent. I love that. How about the others in terms of your practice?
I have to say, across the board, I recommend our daily essentials packets. because I know that a healthy gut's going to produce healthier blood, and healthier blood is going to produce more nourished tissues. And so that gets recommended across the board. And then especially, I'll say the younger they are, in their teens and 20s, in their teens, it might be just algae, just getting the algae into their system a little bit every day. In their 20s and even into their 30s, I'm going to want to add the essentials. As they get into their 40s, I want everybody with Energize, and then I would say 30s and beyond, Renew. So those are the 4 products I most often recommend, which is, 5: Body, Mind, Essentials, Renew, and Energize.
Very good.
Yeah.
For me, everything is based on the algae. It's not necessarily the product per se I recommend first, because I think, enzymes are so important for people. But our enzymes I recommend over any other enzyme out there anywhere because of the algae in them. The Energize, the whole formulation is phenomenal. But ultimately, I know, Bilal, this is a legacy company for your family. This is my life. This has been my life for almost 30 years. And if anything, heaven forbid, were to happen to the company, my concern would be financial, but my first concern would be, where the heck am I going to get algae? Because I am that convinced that it is the only reason I have the life I do or the health I do. It is the number one most important thing in my life, and I communicate that to anybody who asks about health.
Wow. Powerful. Really powerful. Danya, how about yourself?
To me, it's the combination of the products that New Earth has, no one else has. And that is the products that address the gut health, which is number one. It's our first line of defense. The probiotics, the enzymes, the nourishment of the body, the ultimate nourishment of the body with the AFA, with the microalgae. And finally, you have to reduce the stress that we face every day in our lives today, whether it's emotional stress, physical stress, and we do that with antioxidants like Sprouts and Energize, the Earth product that has the assortment of sprouts. So to me, this is one company that I've been with for 30 years that has the full gamma of the products that the body needs to stay healthy. The gut health, the liver health, the kidney health, antioxidants, algae, and the enzymes and the probiotics. It's just—
Danya, when you work with most of your clients, the first thing you do is what you just said. You focus a lot on their gut.
Exactly.
Because if their gut's not right, most everything is probably not right. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, that's your first line of defense. That's where your foods get digested. What if they're not digested well? What if the body cannot extract the nutrients, but the way the body extracts the nutrients is through putrefaction and fermentation. But because we cook foods, we lose all the enzymes. So what if we take some enzymes with the meal? Now you have perfect digestion. The foods will be digested well without putrefaction or fermentation. So the body can extract all the nutrients. So basically, people feel results, good, positive results, when they're digesting their foods well. They start to eliminate better. I do add the algae, of course. The algae is in the probiotics and the enzymes. But the first week or 10 days, I concentrate on getting better function of the digestive system. With the probiotics and enzymes, then I add the algae. And finally, push the body further with the Sprouts or the Earth and the Energize. And that helps the liver, support the liver function and the kidney function. What I learned from all the years I've been studying nutrition and health is that your most important system in the body is your detoxification system, not your immune system, not your brain system. Nothing in the body will work right without the gut working in a good way and being supported well. So I always concentrate on the health of the gut first.
That's interesting because essentially, what if you can't handle the detoxification, it starts to sort of edge out the efforts of every other system until I guess you run out of bandwidth. You can't get ahead of it because you let it get so far ahead. Does that seem to be the problem with most people that wind up coming to you and talking to you?
Well, most people have elimination problems. So they're eating, but they're not eliminating the waste products, the toxins. And so when you help them and assist and support the detoxification system with the probiotics and enzymes, and especially the rebound, which is it's a proteolytic enzymes that you take on empty stomach. It's amazing in making everything flows right in the body, clean up the blood, the lymphatic system. So basically, the health immediately or positive results are immediately felt when the gut starts to work well and people start to eliminate more and have more energy. So yes, gut is the first line of defense.
Wow. Jerry, I know that when we're manufacturing these products, you pay special attention to making sure people are getting what they're paying for, right? I know that, sometimes you could have a probiotic product that if it's been on the shelf too long, they don't really have, much left. It's not the live product that perhaps they thought it was. What are some of the secrets to some of our formulations to help people, feel comfortable that they're getting what they're buying?
Right, Kevin. Yeah. And the entire manufacturing process from when we get a brown powder in, let's say we ordered wheat sprouts and we get some boxes of brown powder. Is it really wheat sprouts? And so we have to go through some testing and identify it to make sure, yes, that is wheat sprouts, or yes, that is acidophilus, yes, that is a protease enzyme. And that's just on the raw material. And then throughout the manufacturing process, and then of course, as a finished product before it's released and sold to consumers, we test again. You test to make sure that you do. If you say you have coenzyme Q10 in that product, you test it, and you got to make sure it's meeting the label claim. Same with enzymes, probiotics, all those active ingredients. So that part is really important. And a lot of companies will say, we do this, we do that. But, ask yourself, ask your customers or is that a certified company? Are they certified to those standards, or are they just saying they test to those standards? I'm sure some do and probably some don't. But that's the big difference between really good quality products and some that are not so great.
And so, then if I can add on, go ahead. Well, I was just going to add on to that is one of in my opinion, are kind of a secret ingredient, if you will, is the fact that we have a lot of people who care, number one, who are manufacturing on the product, who are working with Jerry and Doug and Gary Fanning, and there's all these people who are working on the lines and the production facilities who really care about what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time, and that's the second point. They've been doing it for a long time. So the idea is that you have an innate nature or innate quality control person, that someone who's vested in and who has the experience and competency and is also very high integrity will always continue looking for the best interest, because they know that's how we do it. So when there are problems, and there have been problems, there are always problems that come in and sometimes that affect. It's always like, okay, this is an issue now. What do we need to do it before we even move on to the next step of the situation? For example, you gave the example of probiotics. We know probiotics are very sensitive. We handle them in refrigerated environment constantly while they're being even in the manufacturing process. But some of the blending elements and some things there's all these, there's not all this, but there's the encapsulation process that goes in when you're taking the powder and putting it in tiny little capsules. And there's heat and friction sometimes being generated. So when it comes out, we're testing them again to make sure that the actives are what they need to be to our level. So by the time they come to the consumer, they are what the label says. Not only because we're going to be dinged if we don't do it, and NSF, when they come for the inspection, they're going to look at our batch records and say that this, but more importantly, because not only I believe it's the right thing to do, but Jerry believes it's the right thing to do. The people in the quality control team believe it's the right thing to do. The people who are encapsulating, Gabe and his team, believe it's the right thing to do. So everybody in all the processes and all the chain of commands, if you will, they have that integrity that, hey, this needs to be done correctly, because they all consume the products themselves, or their families do. And to me, that's my quote unquote secret quality check, is if people, and that's one of the great things that I think we do at New Earth, is people can consume the product that work for us, to have the ability to consume the product constantly. If we know that they or their families are consuming the products, they're going to make sure that they're going the extra mile to make sure they follow the procedures, even though some of them can be cumbersome.
So what I wanted to say is I have a newer associate who has had some severe digestion issues. And one of the things about algae is, it is so assimilable. It doesn't require heavy digestion to uptake those nutrients. So when he started our products, he literally within 4 hours called me to tell me how different he felt. So for him, it was this immediate, huge benefit. And he ran out, and his really good friend told him about another AFA company, and he bought their products and had them shipped to him. And he has been crying for 8 days because he only has that other product, which does nothing for him. He feels terrible. His products were supposed to come Saturday. They were delayed, and he literally was crying on the phone. They're not here. They're not coming till Monday. Panicked because he has to wait 2 more days for our products that actually work.
That's a great fan to have, and it speaks a lot to the efficacy of real products. It's an interesting dilemma for the customer, the consumer, right? The only thing I always relate it to, and I wish I had a better example off the top of my head, but is maybe people can understand it this way, but it's a little bit like steaks, right? There's USDA grading of steaks, and or meat, I guess, as it were, and nobody goes to the grocery store to buy a grade F steak, right? And yet they might be going to the grocery store or somewhere like it, picking up something that is grade F, and they don't even know it. They're just unaware of it. So certifications matter. The quality and the processing of the company matters. Use it. We have something, Bilal, that I am still amazed by, and that is an empty bottle money-back guarantee. Now, as a CEO, I've often wondered to myself, what a gutsy move, right? But when the question came up for you, it didn't feel like a gutsy move at all, and you've turned out to be correct. Speak to that for a little bit.
Definitely. I think part of it goes back to what you asked in the beginning, right? If we're doing things the right way for the right reasons, then we're not afraid when people don't have, nor do we want to have people that don't have their expectations met, or their experience what they're expected met. And so that's where it comes from. It comes from honest to goodness. Try it out, and if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. We will take it back. We're glad to do that, because we want you to try it out. We want somebody who is, and Danya and Barbara and Stuart can speak to this better, in the sense that they're customers for a long period of time. They're users of these products for a long period of time, because they know what the product difference it has done for themselves. That's where it came from us, for me personally as well. And this is why we got involved, and we're blessed to be in the situation that we were, to get involved in the beginning. But that's kind of the philosophical aspect of it. But the other part of it is, the economic aspect is, when you have a good product, that you're not going to have a lot of returns, and you're not going to have, so when you play the math, if you will, and our returns are less than 1%, we don't have that fear that people are going to mass return it, because it is valuable to them, because they understand the value that it gives to them. The value proposition is there. So I think both of those aspects, because we do it correctly, we believe in what we're doing, we have high quality processes in place to make sure that it's consistent. Whatever our products are done and they're consistent. That's why we have the same type of reactions for people who take the product now or that took the product 5 years ago or 10 years ago. They have the same type of stories that are constantly evolving. And it's also the fact that we know that, we have experience, we have real life experience. We've been in the marketplace for such a long time, and we know what kind of returns we do get. And so that's not a hard thing for us to do. We want to be a community that we want people to be members of the community that want to be with us. And if you don't, that's okay. Good for you. We're happy for you. But you don't need, we know that we're not going to please everybody, and we're not out to please everybody.
It's, I bet as practitioners, you guys have a very different problem. And you tell me if I'm wrong or if this is, nuts. But the empty bottle money back guarantee probably doesn't happen in your business very often, if at all, right? Very, very small. What probably happens, I'm guessing, is we sit with them, we get to know them, we make some product recommendations, they start to use them. And I'm going to use a word that I will clarify. They take the products, they use them, and then they go, oh, all better, I'm good. And then they stop. And then they probably wind up coming back to you and saying, okay, well, I thought I was okay, and I thought I was out of the woods, but I'm not out of the woods. And it's interesting because you as a practitioner are probably thinking to yourself, well, I thought we were doing this for life because this is food. Tell me a little bit about that. Am I up in the night? Does this happen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just jump in real quickly with something that it's a question I am always well served. And in my chiropractic practice, the patient is well served. If I remember to ask this question, and the question is, are you looking for short-term relief, or are you interested in maybe more long-term solutions?
That's good.
And it's so important to ask that question, because otherwise, inherently, I'm excited and I want to build them a yacht and they wanted a rowboat, and so when I can remember to ask that question and let them choose, then I can make short-term recommendations, or then I can say, okay, great. We're going to sit down. I want you to take this bottle of algae home. I want you to have 4 capsules a day. Over the next 2 months, I'll be at work on your care plan, and I'll make more comprehensive recommendations, which will include the micronutrition at that time. But in the meantime, I want your body getting used to this algae. And so just that simple question of finding out what their intention is in being there, it has taken a lot of heartache and headache out of my work as a chiropractor.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
It's a great question, Stuart. I like that. One of the things I do is I ask somebody what their budget is. And I say, I want you to be really, really comfortable with whatever you're spending, because this is a food for life. I do not want somebody to be on a $300 a month program knowing they cannot continue that. That's not good for them or me.
That's smart. I like that. And Danya, you probably have a number of people that fall, somewhere in these circumstances as well, right?
I really don't even remember anybody asking me for the money back guarantee or returning the products.
Ever?
Ever.
So how many years did you say? You said 30 years, right?
30 years. 1990 is when I started using the products. And I don't remember one incident of somebody telling me, I don't want to continue, I want my money back.
Wow.
So I know, I think one of the main reasons also is my continual education. And all the articles I send out for people to get educated about health with foods. How do you achieve health with foods? Because what we promote and market to people are foods. They're not man-made, isolated chemicals like in most health food stores shelves. They're not the A and B and C. They are foods. They're sprouts, they're bee pollen, they're mushrooms, they're algae, and they're produced at the highest quality. So basically, I get them to be educated about these products and they expand their knowledge. They want more. So I've been really blessed with a terrific network of consumers who I have the privilege of educating them all the time. And they love these newsletters that I send out.
I love them too. I'll be honest. I love them too. You have a lot of very useful information. And I love that topic because you're right. New Earth is all about Earth's first foods, right? Some of these baseline basal ingredients that your body just needs. And you're not going to get those through a laboratory. You're going to get those through really foods that have been found and cultivated and are treated appropriately so that they will be useful to your body. Jerry, as a scientist, there's a lot of companies out there that are looking to, find shorter routes to create ingredients, right? Even something as simple as ascorbic acid. A lot of us have this idea in our head that ascorbic acid, well, I know how they make that. They have oranges and they squeeze the oranges and they make them into tablets, right? They just dry the powder out. Is that how that works?
Right, Kevin. And what Danya said is so true that our bodies weren't built to work on vitamin C by itself. There's a lot of cofactors out there. And, who's to say that we know what all those cofactors are that are needed? Your best source, as Danya was saying, is you need to have these whole foods, these wild foods that are grown appropriately and processed appropriately. And that's the way to go.
Yeah,
definitely. One of the things that sometimes it's hard to do because, our products are powders in the end of the day, whether they're in capsules or tablets. And sometimes just being in that shape, you get, what it is. But that's just a delivery mechanism that we have figured out that we can try and get this product, especially AFA and all the cofactors as minimally processed as possible to the consumers as quickly as possible. But I think the important element, and Danya just hit on it, is the constant, we're in it for looking out, for educating. And one of the things that I think that's really been powerful over the last 10, 20 years, and I'm sure Barb and Danya and Stuart, and you've seen this, is the consumer is getting more educated. Maybe a little overwhelmed. We're going maybe a little bit to the other extreme where you're getting information, and before we have the ability to verify its authenticity, it's already trending as that's the way it needs to be done. But I think we have to temper that a little bit in terms of the amount of information. But I think having a more educated consumer has done well for the overall potential of people are trying to see, you have these more family gardens or neighborhood gardens that are showing up. You have community gardens that are working up. You have people that are trying to grow food and eat during in season because our bodies are adaptive and most effective when we do stuff like that. So I think it's not only consuming New Earth products, which we're big proponents that, of course, please do so, but it's the lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle change, not just for immediate, but it's that process that you're going to get educated on hydration and the importance of how water, which we're 70%, our bodies are 70% water, how important that is for the good functioning of yourselves on this. So I think that's really what's powerful with the New Earth community, and with having practitioners as a conduit to be able to get that education And that's why I love the wellness entrepreneurship model that we have, is because we help that develop that relationship between the consumer and the practitioner, consumer and an educated consumer, and kind of grow from there. And that's what I think is very powerful.
I'd like to say, just because it's so important to me, that this topic is so important, Bilal. What you said is so important, that there is so much information, and there's a limit to how much you can intake, and marketing can make something that's a market phrase sound like a fact, and it does confuse people. And so the fact that we are Earth's first food, we're not recent, we didn't get created in a lab. I just bypass everything, and say, do you want the first food on the planet that your DNA was templated from, or do you want something somebody put together in a lab? To me, that works as well as anything else, because I can't combat the reams and reams and reams of misinformation out there. I can only give my perspective.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I love that New Earth backs that. There are a lot of companies where they try to take over too much. They bite off more than they could chew. They try to be the answer to any problem you might have. And, we don't do that. We talk about eating a healthy diet and staying on that healthy diet and drinking water, getting some exercise, moving more today than you did yesterday. And of course, including high-end, nutrient-dense foods in the New Earth products. It's a system that I think shows the test of time. It's worked every time it's been done. And to all of your customers, I'm assuming, when they do it, they have success.
This might be a little bit of a departure, but I just wanted to throw this one thing in, because I don't think we've mentioned it much. And I think it's important to bring it in that, and I was reminded of it in part because of a book I'm rereading. It's a great book called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. And if you haven't read it, it's a wonderful read. And one of the things he talks about is that our species of human beings, sapiens, we have not been agriculturally based for very long. We have been agriculturally based for, in his estimation, that was about 12,000 years ago, that sapiens, our species, began to start to settle down and grow some crops. And what that made available was capacity to feed a lot more people, hence the explosion of humanity, feed a lot more people a lot more poorly.
Interesting.
So we have a situation now where, as Barbara touched upon with earlier when she was talking about Earth's first food, we have a situation where our species, which we know is still evolving, we are still a work in progress. And for the hundreds of thousands of years that we have been around, the vast majority of that, we have lived entirely on wild foods. And so I think it's important to point out that not only is our food the crux of it, the algae, the whole food matrix of all of the ingredients that we use are whole foods. In many cases, they're wild as well. And I think that's very important because for most of us, we have the digestive systems, the minds of hunters and gatherers, and yet we sit down at night to the meals of farmers. And I think one of the things I love to say to anybody I share the algae products with, our New Earth products, is that I also recommend our products because I know that that's at least one source of wild foods that are going to be in their diet. And that's so important because otherwise, maybe if they get wild caught salmon at the grocery store, maybe they got some wild food that week. But we know that wild foods are invariably some type of verifiably superfood, meaning they provide a lot more nutrition with a lot less calories. And our algae, our products definitely live in that world as well. Wild.
I love that. That's smart and very, very true. Very true. What have we? I mean, we've covered quite the range. We've been on for, I think it's about an hour. At least we're creeping up on that number. So it's honestly, I could go for another hour. But I would like to do this. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. We'll do it again for another time. If you're watching this, send us your comments, send us your feedback, maybe send us some questions that you would like to see this group answer. And maybe there's, a deeper version of this that we can continue to do. It could be an ongoing conversation. But as we head out, let's just take one by one, your crack at a good conclusion for someone that might be watching this that is a customer. Maybe they have just barely, or they haven't yet started to use New Earth products. What might you say to them?
I would say there's literally no risk because we do have a money back guarantee, and you might change your life forever for the better. You don't know till you try it.
I would say that with New Earth product, you have everything your body needs. There is no other company that offers you this assortment. Just a few of them, 3 or 4 of them. You're giving your body everything it needs on a daily basis. That maybe your diet is not completely nutritious. Then by taking these very few products, you're addressing any deficiency that your body may have. It's sort of like insurance. I call these products a terrific health insurance for you.
Yeah.
Well, I will, they're so eloquently said by Barbara and Donia, so I'm not going to talk nutrients like what we put in our mouth in my comment. I'm just going to say, having driven from my weekly COVID test that I must do, it's mandated because I'm a chiropractor, and driven across the freeways and thinking about getting home and putting up my Zoom apparatus to be here with you all, I was like, oh, a little bit of just what I need, something else to do today. And yet the moment I got on the call here with everyone, what I was struck by is the comfort and the care and the genuine concern that is present whenever we at New Earth gather. And I would say to someone on the fence about our products, not only are you buying a product, you're buying a community that loves and cares about you.
Wow. Thank you, Stuart.
That's
Bilal,
great,
Jerry?
Yeah, I'd love to jump in here. And first of all, thank you, the 3 of you, for being on this call. We really appreciate it, Barbara and Donia and Stuart. Appreciate your insights. It's been fantastic. I've enjoyed it. And yeah, just I guess one parting thought: just buyer beware. If you're buying a car or a stereo or whatever, or supplements, just you don't know what you're getting, so check things out first.
Yeah, I want to echo what Jerry just said. Thank you to our educators. We turn to Barbara and Donia and Stuart and others who have given us and given me personally so much education, continue to do so on how to live a better life, a more healthier life. And we're just grateful that we have an opportunity to be in this together, to make a difference and to make an impact for many, many people and many generations. And as Jerry said, if you're willing, if this is something that's interesting and intriguing, talk to the person that invited you to this and see if it's something worth trying out. And we stand by our promise. If it's something that it doesn't meet your expectations, then by all means, send it back and we'll refund your money. We don't we value what we do, and we're very grateful for the people that are invested in it. And thank you for being, the best expression of us and building New Earth together.
And I will close by saying this. I love these products. Use them every day. My family uses them. And I have been with them and I have been without them. And I will simply say I'm better for them. So give it a shot. Give it a try. It's got nothing to lose, but, really just giving it a shot, right? So I think you will be glad that you did. And with that, thank you to our panel. Thank you to all of you that took the time to be with us. I really, really appreciate it. All of you are fantastic. And Bilal's right. You do represent us just so well. Thank you, Jerry, to you and your team for producing some incredible products. And Bilal, to you and your family for taking the time to invest in a company in a different way. With different goals, and a lot of people are benefited as a result of that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for participating in our after hours, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.